Hi, everybody. So today, this installation of the Sergeant at Arms is going to be about indictments, indictments, indictments. So, Robert Mueller, special prosecutor in the Russia investigation, has indicted 4 people: Paul Manafort, his assistant Rick Gates, George Papadopoulos, and Michael Flynn. So, Paul Manafort has not pleaded guilty. He pleaded not guilty. And Rick Gates, who was his assistant, so Paul Manafort was campaign chairman for the Trump campaign. Rick Gates was his assistant. And so Manafort was indicted, and Rick Gates was basically indicted by association. Because most of what I read about Rick Gates was connected to what Paul Manafort was doing, and he was just assisting him. George Papadopoulos has pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI, and so has Michael Flynn. So those two, that's going to be a lot. There's no more smoke there. That's fire. There's absolute fire there, and they're just the beginning of what's going to happen. But going back to Manafort, so Manafort has said he's not guilty of any wrongdoing with regard to the Russia investigation. I keep saying to myself, when are we going to stop talking about election 2016? But as long as this Russia investigation goes on, we will continue to talk about election 2016 because that's basically what it's about. I recently saw a couple of pundits talk about how, and these are Republican strategists and a former congressman, I think, talking about how they feel President Trump should just admit, yeah, there was some wrongdoing by the Russians, but he just keeps saying there's no collusion, there's no collusion. Okay, I believe him that there was no collusion. I believe him that he didn't blatantly work with the Russians to try to rig the election in his favor. I believe that. What I don't believe is that they had nothing to do with trying to rig the election. I think they absolutely did. There has been evidence from our intelligence community that suggests they know that they did. So every time President Trump tries to say, oh, had nothing to do with it, all he does is make himself look more evasive and make everyone say, well, what is he trying to hide? Instead of coming out and saying, listen, there are no circumstances under which another country should be meddling in our elections, and it sets a bad precedent, and we need to shut that down. That's what he should be saying. In the same breath, he can say, we had nothing to do with it, but it was still wrong. That would probably get his approval ratings up a little bit more than where it is right now. But again, this is Donald Trump, and so at no point is he ever going to admit wrongdoing about anything. Having said that, these indictments, it just calls into question what's going to happen as we go into 2018. Because again, there's been a lot of speculation about who talked to whom about what. Donald Trump Jr. is being questioned. He's had to recount a number of statements that he's made. He's had to fix some of the statements that he's made, and there's also been a lot of speculation about what involvement Jared Kushner had about this. Now, Donald Trump Jr. has never been a part of the Trump administration, part of the Trump campaign, but not the Trump administration. Jared Kushner is a part of the Trump administration, and so there is still a lot to be learned, I think, about this whole Jared Kushner connection to the Russia investigation. I think there's going to be a lot more there, and I think there will be plenty of other people who have to account for who they talked to, what they knew, what their involvement was. There's going to be a lot of that. The bottom line is this. I don't think it would have changed the outcome. No matter what happened, I don't think it would have changed the outcome because the outcome of that election had everything to do with Hillary Clinton and the people who did not like her and did not trust her and who she was as a candidate and a person. And everything to do with Donald Trump and the message that he was sending to the right people at the right time. We're seeing that play itself out in so many of the hate crimes that we're seeing and the riots and the protests. We're seeing all of that come to play because there really is an alt-right that is energized and emboldened because Donald Trump is allowing them to be emboldened. And so he spoke to them at the right time. He got them energized, and they went out and voted. And the people who were on the other side did not get out and vote, did not feel energized. I think some of it was everyone kind of felt like, and everyone said it, there's no way he can get elected. Those same pundits that I talked about before, one of the things they said is 3 years ago, it would have been a joke to think that Donald Trump even had a chance. And now he's president of the United States. So, no, you can't discount anyone. It's almost as if the field is now opened up to anyone. The qualifications for being president of the United States have shifted from wanting to be a public servant, working as a public servant, to being a celebrity and being well known. That's kind of where we are as a country. And I think the Russians played into that. And the Russians just did some things they shouldn't have done. And now it's all unfolding. So let's see what happens. That kind of ends up being that's my motto for everything that we do here at the Sergeant at Arms, which is, let's see what happens. That's where this started. Everyone said, oh, well, let's elect Donald Trump and let's see what happens. And so we're now seeing what happens. So now's the time to energize your tweets. I am still tweeting with the president. I am still tweeting with every pundit I can get my hands on. Because that's a conversation needs to keep going. And I am very interested in everything the Russia investigation can unfold. And I'm all for Robert Mueller and his team uncovering everything that they can and blowing this whole thing out of the water. So, tweet, send me messages, tell me what you think about this situation and what you think about the indictments. I'm sure Hillary Clinton feels somewhat vindicated. I know I saw some things where some of her people felt like, see, well, we tried to say that this is where this was going and look where we are now, but it doesn't change the fact that she probably could not have gotten elected for any number of reasons. So, let's not discount the value of the election. The election ended up being exactly the way it was supposed to be. Whether there was interference or not, Robert Mueller will find out. So, tweets, comments, I look forward to all of them, and I will see you next time.